Good evening, Wolfpack Nation, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 5 of A Whole Pack of Wolves podcast. I'm your host, Justin Grace, alongside the lovely and talented, as always, Colby Pleasance, my co-host tonight. Tonight, we are going to be bringing you our thoughts from this past Friday night's game against the Virginia Cavaliers in Charlottesville. We'll also touch on some basketball-related stuff for you guys later on. But for right now, we're going to essentially give what our review of the game was, what our thoughts were based on our keys that we talked about, and just give you guys kind of an overall breakdown of kind of what happened, why NC State was able to get the last-minute win. So, Colby, I'm gonna let you do your first initial review. What were your initial thoughts? What do you think based on our keys that we talked about that you want to talk about, air some grievances out, whatever you need to tonight?
More going to be some grievances. Overall, we won the game. I feel like you can't really be as discouraged if you win the game, but if you lose the game, you can be as discouraged as you want. But we won the game, so I mean, it wasn't that bad of a issue. Like Robert and I likes to say is, we got some explosive plays. We need more explosives. We had some explosive plays. So the only way we won, really, because of those explosive plays, we were able to create offense. I guess we did what the Robert and I mantra is, make explosive plays. Overall, I thought the game was good up until the fourth quarter. I felt like fourth quarter just play from both sides of the ball was just very lackadaisical. Wasn't impressed with our defense at all. I think we left a lot out on the field. Same with the offense. The offense came out slow, and then they gained a lot of momentum. And there were some things I like. I mean, you gotta give props to Brennan Armstrong. He still was able to have a solid game. He did throw one interception, but if you really go back and look at it, the interception could probably be not really on him. It's up to the receiver to kind of make the route, and Juice Farine kind of stopped mid route, so it just kind of just went to the guy. So, you as a former quarterback, I feel like you just want some of those back. So I kind of feel Brennan's pain a little bit. Really, it just seemed like that was just kind of the outlier of Brennan's game. He did well with rushing the ball and passing to Conception twice. Conception, I think it's Conception, but he played really well. Had 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. And was named Freshman of the Week. I love his play. I love his versatility, and I think it would be shocking if he's not a vocal point moving forward for the offense. But overall, the game was, it shouldn't have been what it was, but it is what it is. It's a win. You're going to be fine. Just go home with the win. And that's really more of what the positive side. The grievances I have are, if you struggle with Virginia, how are you going to do with the rest of the ACC? And that's just kind of more of my kind of thought process I'm going through is, if NC State's going to give me this kind of performance every night, why would I show up? Why would I watch you? The apathy I feel towards this team is getting to be the point where I just don't want to watch games anymore. Just due to the fact that you're giving me the same product every day. Every day you go out, you're giving me the same product. When it changes, I'll show a little bit more apathy. But now, since you guys just continue to want to drag my heart through the dirt, it just, after a while, you can't be doing that. And I don't know. I'm getting really irritated with the team, and I'm getting really irritated with the coaches because I just think Dave Dorn's saying a lot of what woe is me, you know, kind of, you know, like he's just, I get he's angry, but he's also kind of blaming it on others, you know, not blaming himself. And so, you know, I don't know. I want to watch the Louisville game, but after watching this game, I just don't. I can go on with my life if I don't watch it, but I probably will watch it as an NC State fan, unfortunately.
Yeah, man, you know I can't turn away from watching a game, that's for sure. So just touching back on our keys to the game, you know, we were talking about our key players and keys to the game, and one of our keys was to more effectively run the football, which you and I have talked about several times on and offline. But that to me, when I go back and rewatch these games and try to pinpoint down one thing, like one or two things that I'm just not seeing effectiveness from, and it's the running game. You know, Brennan right now is our leading rusher at a little over 200 yards for the season. And the other running backs are barely over 100 right now. Now, granted, Kendrick Raphael wasn't healthy for most of the game, which I think hurt our ability to run the football a lot, especially losing Jordan Houston right before the game. So essentially, two out of your best three running backs were non-factors for the entire game. And they put a lot of pressure on Michael Allen and Brennan to run the football for us. But realistically, as a team, we've only rushed for a little over 400 yards in these first four games. So that's telling me that we're barely getting 100 yards rushing a game, and that's including Brennan's two. I thought he's had two really good games, Virginia and UConn, where he rushed the football very well. So, but we're just not getting any other help from anybody else. And right now, that's the number one thing and the theme that I continue to see. And the one thing that I want to see NC State change going forward is to be more effective in the running game. I don't know that they're inefficient. Those are two different things, but I think they can be more effective with it and how they use it and when they use it. And that's where I think NC State's got to be a little bit more, you know, focused in on the down and distances that they need to run the football on and when they're running the football well. And I think that's just one of the biggest things that I've just noticed. That sets up so much of the rest of the offense for you that's what I think is troubling us right now. You know, our ineffective running the football is what's causing our passing game too to not be as effective too. You know, granted, Casey had a phenomenal game. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better game from anybody, whether freshman or not. But the rest of the supporting cast just isn't there. And I think that's mainly because Brennan has really been a one read and run quarterback so far. He's really not going to those second, third, fourth progressions that we need, you know, because he's just seeing if it's there, and if it's not there, then he's taking off. So for me, it's State's got to be a little bit more patient in the passing game, but they've got to be more effective in the running game too in order for you to be more patient in the passing game. And I think that's really the thing that I am seeing the most out of. And I think that's one thing that I would like to see them do more going forward. I think you're going to see more of those explosive plays hit if your defense is having to focus in on the running backs. And Philip Danford had a really great podcast earlier this week. Shout out to him for breaking this down on us too. But I think NC State needs to use a little bit more split back. I mean, they've got to be able to use two backs at the same time, even if one of them is Penix, or if you're going to use Julian Gray to line up in a split back formation and then turn around and hand it off to him, or use him in a jet sweep. You know, we haven't really seen the motions that we were hearing about preseason from Robert and I, like the really odd formations and things like that. So I think it's going to be a situation where State's got to pare down who they're getting their targets out to, but also becoming more effective in the running game. And those were the two things that we talked about, you know, preseason and pre-game. So I thought State did a great job early on, especially like second, third quarter. They were able to build the lead. They were able to effectively get to that point where they had Virginia pretty much almost dead to rights, but you just couldn't put the final nail in the coffin because you couldn't run the football. We had 2 drives in the fourth quarter that could have been extended and weren't extended because we couldn't run the football. So I don't fault Dave for thinking that we should be able to run the football at that point, but through 4 games, it really has become the theme is we can't run the football. So if it's not Brennan Armstrong running, it's not going to happen. So that's one thing I think NC State's got to get cleaned up going forward. And when I'm looking at Louisville and what they do well and what they don't do well, they've really haven't played much of anybody. Their only road game was against Indiana, and they won that game 21-14.
And it's Indiana.
So, yeah,
Indiana.
I mean, it wasn't, everybody's talking about how powerful Louisville's offense is right now, but they've essentially played 3 teams that defense is ranked 75th or worse in the entire country. So they're not really playing great defenses right now. The only real Power 5 team they played on the road was Indiana, and they struggled. So there's a lot of people that are talking about not, this game being a tough game for NC State, but I'm looking at it. If we can get the running game going, it's not going to be that tough for us. I think our defense is playing well enough that they create enough turnovers. They are putting ourselves in position to win every single game. We have to be able to capitalize on offense at this point. I really thought, defense kind of got a lot of flack in the fourth quarter, but realistically, the stats will tell you they played, fairly sound football all night. And when your offense goes 3 and out 2 straight times after 2 straight turnovers, that's very deflating for the defense. So those are things you got to clean up. Get those things cleaned up. Being able to effectively run the football should open up your passing game too.
Yeah.
So, I was a little frustrated a little bit after the game, but I'm going to take Steve Williams' advice and say, take 24 hours and then reassess what you think, and don't be so strictly emotional right off the bat. But I can understand State fans' frustration. I mean, it's something that we were told this is kind of how the offense was going to look, and so far it hasn't really looked that way.
Not even Mitch.
but it is, again, we've talked about it offline. Tony Gibson didn't build his defense in a day. It doesn't take a week or 2 weeks or 3. They're going to take time, and especially they need to get the recruiting and the guys that fit their system better, here before they start making any real judgments about how good or how bad this offense is. Just my opinion. I'm going to give them, this entire season and even next season to kind of figure that out, because I think it's going to be a little bit different. We've got one guy who understands the offense. I mean, Coach Doran talked about it in the post game. He said, we've got a lot of guys right now who this is their first time going through this offense. So they're going to try to pare it down a little bit and try to make things not so complicated, which, we'll see how that works. We're going to see if that's a good thing or not for us going forward. But sometimes you need a little bit of that, especially if you've got a complicated scheme like Coach and I does. And Coach Gibson's the same way. Very complicated scheme that takes time to learn. So give them a little bit of patience. That's what I'm going to preach this week. Give Coach and I, give the offense some patience. I think when you start to see them click, it's going to be really, really good for us. Like, you'll start to see them getting on the same page. And even Brennan said he takes ownership of it too. It seems like he's kind of locked in on his go-tos and he's got to do a better job. So We'll see how they do going forward. I'm not ready to write them off yet, but if we get like halfway through the season and we're still seeing this offense struggle, then it's at this point, it's going to be a little bit like last season. You're just going to have to put the onus on your defense to win games for you. And you hold a team to less than 24 points, 99 times out of 100, you're going to win. So, I mean, yeah, we can all be frustrated with the offense, but we're winning. So what do you want to be more frustrated with, learning from wins or learning from losses? So I'd rather learn from a win. And that's what we got. So that was my essential initial thoughts after I kind of cooled off a little bit. But I definitely wanted to shout out Braden Narvison too for giving a phenomenal kick. I mean, Clemson just showed how missing a 30-yard field goal chip shot to win a game can cost you one way or another. So, that
Yeah.
kick was probably good from 50. So it was awesome to see him in the one with Wolfpack episode this week, and to see him in the post game. Just he was excited. He was just off the wall, elated for making that kick, and I'm like, thank God we did, because it could have been worse.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really could have. It really could have. I mean, we could have lost, but it's just like at the same time, it's just like, you know me, I'm gonna always be positive with certain things, but it's just like my real question is, it's like, when's the point gonna be, drawn out for us?
Mm-hmm.
When is certain things gonna be met? And you know, I feel like this kind of feeling has also been you know kind of drawn to me by Red and White um podcast. They were
Mm-hmm.
saying that, well, they're saying that are fans gonna say enough is enough, and say like, hey, you know you're not doing this, your defense is great, but your offense just seems to be terrible and terrible and terrible every year.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, you seem to have the same kind of record every year, but you do grow a little bit. I don't know. It was dawning to me, but like at the same time, as a State fan, I'm still gonna cheer for the guys and stuff. But at any point of the season, there could be a time where I just don't watch the game. And hey, usually when I don't watch the game, when I feel comfortable, we're either gonna win or just lose.
Mm-hmm.
Usually we win, and we win in big fashion. So like, I'm usually proven wrong, but it is something to kind of scratch your head about. Is like, all right, so we've gone through 4 games now. You're going into Louisville, who is probably your first big test in the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
You need to put your foot down. That doesn't mean be conservative, Dave. It means put your foot down. If you get a lead at all, keep the foot on the gas. You should go by the mantra, no gas, all gas, no brakes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just thinking, if we don't step on Louisville's throat, like it's not gonna it's gonna be a game. If you don't
Mm-hmm.
step on their throat, it's gonna be a game. Now if you get a lead and you keep stepping on their throat, they're gonna lay down. So that's
I agree.
just the feeling that I'm getting. But it is a night game. It is gonna be the first unveiling of the black uniforms that apparently glow in the dark.
We're gonna find that out later,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We'll
So
see, right?
yeah, we'll see.
I
We'll
thought the
see.
video was awesome today. We're going to talk more about Louisville a little bit later on
Yeah.
this week, but realistically, I wanted to just kind of finish up with UVA, which I think for the most part we were able to get the win. That's obviously important. Number one
Mhm.
thing is you just want to come home with a win.
Yeah.
Number two is it's really hard to win on the ACC on the road. So State fans, just take a step back a little bit, enjoy the win. I was not able to realistically on Saturday, which I should have, but now that I look back at it, I really do enjoy it. It was a great win, clean game. We essentially you win the turnover battle, you win time of possession, you win the game. And I personally don't care if we win every game 3-0. I really wouldn't care. I mean, if it
Yeah.
leads us to winning 10 games a year, then great. But I think state fans also need to understand where this program is historically
Yeah.
and understand Dave Doran is doing a phenomenal job with what he has. Now, ultimately going forward, I think we will have some things that will change that will benefit NC State, which that'll be something that we'll take a look at as things with NIL change going forward. But realistically, we're not Alabama, so don't think we are. Like, we're not winning 10 games every single season. So
Yeah.
don't hurt, don't hate on the fact that we're finishing 8-4 every year, because there's a lot of other teams that would like to be us right now, just realistically. So things take time. They're going to take a little more time.
Yeah.
If Coach and I works out, great. If he doesn't, we know where that road's going to end. So you can't really say, well, this guy's terrible after 4 games. That's just where we are. We are
Yeah.
where we are. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's where we're going. So just stay in on them. Enjoy the wins. I mean, this team wasn't expected to win the ACC. They were picked fourth. So I mean, it's not like we were supposed to be some juggernaut Florida State team that just can't score. So enjoy the
Yeah.
fact that we're going to win 8 times. We're probably going to win at least 7 or 8. We're going to a bowl game, so just enjoy that. So, we got basketball coming up soon, which we're getting ready to touch on here in a minute. But, just enjoy the fact that these kids are giving their all, especially when I saw what happened in the locker room in the post game and this week. Like, they're giving everything they freaking have to win these games and to play hard for us. So just enjoy that and cheer them on. Win or lose, it's not going to affect you. You're not going to work, living or dying, breathing or not breathing over the fact that NC State won or not on Saturday or Friday. Just
Yeah.
enjoy it. Enjoy it for what it is. And, as the season continues on, you should want to see growth. That's ultimately what my expectation is now. Based on what I saw and heard in the off season, my expectations were a lot higher. Well, my expectation now is just for this team to grow offensively, just continue to get better. If it takes you 8 weeks, it takes you 8 weeks. If it takes you 10, it takes you 10, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But we'll still win quite a few games. Just the fact on our defense is really good too. So, we did get some good news. With this week when it came to Devin Boykin, like he's not as hurt as what everybody was kind of thinking. So he's probably not going to play this week, but is expected back next week. So all that's good news. I know that's been a number one thing people are talking about too, is the injuries and all that stuff. But I'm one of those that the next guys up have played really, really well. So, Sean Brown had an interception, based off a tip from Fitzgerald. So just enjoy that, enjoy that we're playing hard. So I do. I'm going to continue to watch every game as I have for the last, 22 years now. So I'm not going to miss one. We'll keep cheering them on. And fans, get there early on freaking Friday. Like, black yourself out. This is not the red and white from Louisville. This is the black and white from NC State. So wear black, please. That has been said for 2 weeks now. So
I'm getting tired of it. I'm getting sick of people just saying wear black. I'm not even going to the game and I'm still wearing black at home.
yeah, just wear black. Wear black at home if you're not going. Wear black there if you are going. So I think that we just need to enjoy the fact that right now you're one of 5 teams that are undefeated in the conference. So just enjoy that until you can't enjoy that anymore. So if we're 1-1 this weekend, it is what it is. We weren't expected to win the conference anyway, but with Clemson losing now twice, I mean, the ACC is wide open. So, everything is still in front of us. I know that sounds like Dave Doran coach speak 101, but realistically it is. You win your next 8 games and you'll be happy regardless of whether you hate the offense or don't. So, just enjoy that. Whether we win 3-0 or 35-0, It is what it is. So that's all I got for UVA. I know we're going to talk a little bit about what's been going on in basketball too, but Colby, if you've got any final thoughts you want to add in on football before we move in on basketball too.
No, it's a new week, so on to the next one.
On to the Friday night. So
Yeah.
we did get some good news, obviously, this week. We'll turn our gears to the basketball program for a little bit. Won't take too much time on that, but did want to give a shout out to David Thompson for getting his statue now will be placed out in front of Reynolds Coliseum. That was announced this week. So for those of you who haven't seen him play or just didn't get a chance to see some of the past games that he's played in, my opinion personally is he's the greatest college basketball player to ever play. And he's been needing that type of recognition from NC State for a long time. And me personally, I'm glad that he's finally getting that recognition too. So I'll let you give your thoughts on that too, and then we'll switch gears a little bit too.
Yeah. I wasn't around when he was playing. Wasn't even born yet. Wasn't even a thought. So, I mean, I don't really have much to say about him. From what my father told me, he was a very good player. That's all I really can say though, because
Okay.
I've seen little films and stuff of him, but I mean, from what I can tell, he was a good player. I played as him in NBA 2K, so I mean, he was great in that when he played for the Denver Nuggets. But he's definitely a staple of the basketball program, so he definitely is deserved of a statue being built.
Yeah, he definitely has earned a ton of accolades, and rightfully so. And you hate to see that his NBA career was cut a little bit short. If
Yeah.
it wasn't, you may be talking about wearing Air Thompsons instead of wearing Air Jordans. You just never know about that. He was just that good. He was that much of an impactful player in the ACC, and I'm glad to see him finally get that recognition that he deserves.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously the other good news that we had this week was we started practice for men's basketball again this week. So shout out to that. First game will be in November, first week. So they were able to start practice a little bit earlier.
The women's
And
team started too.
yep. So we did have one of the kind of mysterious things that was being talked about over the course of the off season. Like, was he going to show up? Was he not? Well, MJ Rice is officially with the team. So that'll end all of your speculation, mystery, whatever you want to talk about. So this officially now becomes one of the deepest teams that NC State's had.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that, but until then, I'm going to continue to watch football until I can't watch football anymore.
Season, man. Like I can't. I love basketball, and I do as well. I'm a big basketball guy. I played all 4 years of high school. I've played basketball all my life, so I'm really excited for both teams, men's and women's. Women's team looks very deep as well. We're gonna have both really good teams this year, so I can't wait for those seasons to start.
Yep.
But it's only the start. They don't have games until like November. So
yep, which obviously will be there for those two. So,
yep.
But yeah, it was good to see them, all together again and everybody back together again and practicing. And I believe this is going to be one of the first times NC State's had all 13 scholarship players for basketball. So, we got the extra scholarship back this year. So it was good to see them, all together and playing well. And also good to see the women. I saw they had their media day too. So they were out there in like all their elegant nightgowns and all that stuff, taking pictures. And I'm like, okay, basketball back. But it was fun to see them having fun too. And then lastly, I'm just going to give a quick shout out because you and I were able to, again, come back together this last week, this last Thursday in Winston-Salem for the women's soccer team. So they were able to get two very important draws this week, one against Duke and one against Wake Forest. So for the Duke game on Sunday, for those who missed it, that was the first time Duke had been shut out at home. So we had a great interview with the goalkeeper, Olivia Protopis, and it was awesome for her to get her first career shutout, for that. So if you guys are not watching this team play, they play hard and they play really, really physical. So get out there and come out there. I'm going to give a shameless plug on Saturday. We do play, that other blue team from up the road. So they're going to be in Raleigh this weekend. So come out and cheer really hard and cheer really loud for us against UNC this weekend. I know Colby and I are going to be on site again. So, come stop by and come see us and get a chance to watch the women play. They're really good. So that's really going to be kind of my weekly wrap up and our weekly wrap up, unless Colby, you got anything else you want to talk about. But outside of that, our next episode, we'll be talking about the Louisville game, which will be coming up on Friday night at 7:30 again.
Yeah.
This time on the C-Dub, so we'll see how that goes again. I thought the CW announcers last time were probably some of the more entertaining announcers that we've had for a football game, so I thought it was pretty awesome. But we'll talk about that on our next episode too. But just wanted to give you guys a kind of a weekly rundown, kind of what's going on in the world of NC State athletics, and give you guys the latest and greatest news on what we've got going on and what we've got coming up. So we look forward to talking to you guys this later on this week about the Louisville game. We'll be able to break down again our 3 keys to the game, our key players, who do we think is going to make the impact, and who do we think is going to essentially help the outcome of this football game. We'll give our predictions as well. But outside of that, we appreciate you guys giving us a listen. Please give us a like. Please give us a subscribe and a follow. We're on Twitter at A Whole Pack of Wolves Pod. So come by and see us again, too, on Saturday. So we'll be out there. Colby, once again, I'm going to let you do your thing, but I'm going to give my one last time go Pack, and let's go ahead and beat the Cards on Friday.
Yes, Justin. Go Pack, beat the Cards, and